everybody, today I've got 4 tips to help you kick insomnia's butt. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, that little bell, so that you know when I release a video and you don't miss out. But let's jump into the first tip. And the first tip for kicking insomnia's butt is to clear your space. I know I've talked about this before, but we don't want to mix our spaces. We don't want to read in bed. I know. Surprise, right? We don't want to watch TV in bed. If we're struggling to sleep, we want to remove anything that could be a distraction and that could keep us from falling asleep. We should get rid of a TV, any kind of tablet, laptop, phone, anything like that. If you have animals that sleep in your bedroom with you, I'm sorry, but they're going to have to stay out for a bit while we figure this out. Clear your space. Your bedroom should only be for sex and sleep and nothing else. Also, I don't want to take any credit for this research. I read about this. I'll link in the description some articles and research so that you can dig in deep if you really want. But big thank you to Wilfred Pigeon for all of the wonderful research he's done to help those struggling with insomnia. And my second tip is to consider how you think about falling asleep. I know this sounds bizarre, but something that is super helpful is called behavioral sleep medicine. And that is kind of a CBT approach to sleep, meaning that if we lay in bed and we can't sleep for hours and we get more and more frustrated. We've all been there, right? Where we're like, oh my God, I have to get up in like 6 hours, and we count down how many hours we're actually going to get to sleep before we have to get up again, getting more and more agitated and frustrated all the while. That only makes things worse, because then we start to associate sleep and our bed with frustration, irritation, and restlessness. So what do? If we find ourselves laying in bed thinking, oh my God, I'm never gonna sleep. I only have 4 more hours before I have to get up, and getting more and more agitated, get up. Get out of bed, do something non-stimulating, meaning don't go to a backlit item, no laptop, phone, TV. Maybe we go read or color or just listen to music for about 15 to 20 minutes. And once we start feeling sleepy again, return to bed and try again. But don't allow yourself to just lay there, because we want to change how we feel and think overall about our bed and sleep. And my third tip that kind of rolls off of the second is sleep restriction. And the reason we call it sleep restriction is because if we're going to bed at like 11 p.m., but we're laying in bed getting more and more frustrated for hours before we finally fall asleep at, let's say, 2 or 3 in the morning, sleep restriction says that instead of laying in bed and allowing ourselves to lay there, your bedtime now isn't until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. We want to set our bedtime so late where we normally would finally fall asleep, thank God. Instead, now we only go to bed at that time so that when we lay down, boom, we're tired, we're exhausted. We've been up all night essentially waiting for our bedtime so that we could finally go to sleep. And this works because it changes our belief about bed and sleep. It changes it from being frustrating and taking hours to be nice and quick and enjoyable. And no, we're not going to keep your bedtime at 1 or 2 in the morning, but what we're trying to do is push your amount of sleep into a cohesive chunk. So instead of sleeping for like 40 minutes or an hour, then waking up another 2 hours, waking up, we're pushing it until we're so tired that we finally get a full chunk of, let's say, 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And as we are able to sleep in those chunks, like those 4 or 5 hour chunks successfully, each week we should move our bedtime back towards our normal sleep time by 15 minutes. So let's say our bedtime was 1 in the morning, now it's 12:45, and then it's 12:30 and 12:15. And you can see we'll slowly get us out into a healthy chunk of sleep, but we just need to change our perception about sleep and going to bed. And the fourth tip isn't so much a tip as something that I just found so fascinating that I had to share it with you. Back in the day when they started treating insomnia and learning about it and trying different treatments for it, they always said that insomnia was a result of something else. And that is still true. Insomnia is usually as a result of chronic illness or pain, depression, anxiety, or substance abuse. It could be any number of things, but that doesn't mean that insomnia shouldn't be treated on its own. We don't have to resolve the issue, the depression, anxiety, substance abuse, anything, before the insomnia will get better. They now know that we can treat insomnia on its own as its own issue, even though it's comorbid with other things. And I wanted to share this because it gives us hope. It means that we don't have to work on something else that's going on in order for our insomnia to get better, because each night we go without sleeping makes us that much more frustrated, irritable, tired, just completely exhausted. Am I right? And so it's great to know that we can actually just treat the insomnia by itself and it can get better by itself. And we can work on the other stuff with our therapist and our other treatment team members on its own. I thought that was so great to know that no matter what causes your insomnia, you can treat it just the same. And the last little tidbit that I want to leave you with is that medication for sleep can be extremely helpful. A lot of the books and the research that I read stated that it helps in acute situations, meaning when your insomnia has only lasted, not only, I know every day is a struggle, but it's only lasted for a few weeks to a month. Medication does not help when we have had insomnia for months and months and months. So make sure that you're getting the treatment that you deserve and that you need now. And I will link in the description, like I said, the research that I found, some books. There's a lot of CBT approaches to insomnia that are super beneficial, and all the research they're doing today proves that over and over. I hope that some of the tips and tricks and just the conversation that we're having today gives you a little bit of hope and lets you know that even if you're struggling with insomnia and it's been months since you, or maybe even years since you got a good night's sleep, that it can get better. If I forgot anything and there are tips that have helped you or different behavioral techniques you use to sleep better, let us know in those comments. And give this a thumbs up if you like these kinds of topics and you'd like me to talk about it more. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye.